The weather is going to start turning pretty soon. Long, hot days give way to shorter, cooler, crisper experiences. With the winds a-changing and the leaves beginning to change color, folks have a lot on their mind. Back to school, pumpkin spice, spooky stuff. That third one is especially important, particularly around here. You could head on down to Spirit Halloween, or maybe even find a theme park haunted house to really soak in those vibes. Or you could visit a truly haunted house filled with more ghosts and phantoms than college students in rubber masks. The choice is yours. Do be careful though, as these supposedly real haunts can cause all sorts of damage, both mental and physical, and don't be trespassing, okay? For my sake. Time for the top 5 haunted houses you should never enter. Coming at number 5, we've got Lalaurie Mansion. Few houses have the history and horror stories to match this New Orleans landmark. Over the years, many tales of terror have been attached to it, all with colorful characters and public intrigue at the center. If you do end up visiting New Orleans, make sure you're on the lookout when you're close to the Lalaurie Mansion. Some folks claim that just being outside of the building can cause folks to feel intense negative energy. Let's delve into the details a little, why don't we? Anyone who's interested in New Orleans ghost stories undoubtedly knows about this mansion. Some forego the proper title and simply call it the Ghost House, which is a pretty apt descriptor. Since the 19th century, paranormal happenings have been reported stemming from the home. A lot of these rumors can be traced back to Delphine Lalaurie, a woman who married thrice and lost her husband each time. In addition to her questionable track record with marriage, Delphine Lalaurie also had slaves living on the property. Though common at the time, people looked at her a little differently for this, especially as it was said that she did not treat these people very well at all. In fact, a lot of the ghosts folks claim to see there are often traced back to the slaves that she kept. Some say that a young girl leapt from an upstairs window of the mansion, unwilling to continue living under the strict and cruel rule of Madame Lalaurie. Others say that the slaves there would disappear from time to time, only to be replaced a little bit down the road. The scariest story though comes from the time that the mansion almost burned down. After a fire swept through the house, it was revealed that a group of slaves had been kept locked away in a hidden room, chained to the walls, totally emaciated. To make matters worse, rumors started to spread that Lalaurie had performed horrifying experiments on them. From then on, Madame Lalaurie was seen as a villain, a criminal, a mad scientist. And while none of these experiments have been properly confirmed, their influence still remains to this day. There's some scary history attached to this house, and many people still claim to see the ghosts of people who once lived there roaming about after dark. Coming in at number 4, we've got Craigdarroch Mansion. Sticking with the haunted mansion theme for a little while, this little Canadian gem is packed to the gills with ghost stories. Any sort of old-fashioned mansion is probably subject to similar scrutiny, but this one in particular seems to capture the attention of many. This mansion was being built for Robert Dunsmuir, a rich coal baron who wanted a luxurious home. Unfortunately, he never did get to live as lavishly as he would have liked, as he passed away a year before it was completed. Could it be that his restless soul refused to pass on without getting his money's worth? Is he the ghost swooping through the ornate hallways? Well, that could be the answer, or at least part of it. Craigdarroch Mansion doesn't just get its reputation from one singular ghost. There are many that call these dusty rooms home. In fact, one more important figure in the house's completion perished before it was ready for living. The chief architect of the mansion didn't quite make it to the ribbon cutting ceremony. Tragic and a little ironic. So that's 2 down that poured themselves into this home and never got to see it at its finest. The entire Dunsmuir clan seems to have a haunted stake here, as explorers have come across many other family members during their time in the mansion. Joan Dunsmuir has been seen walking through the halls in a ball gown, and a young girl has been spotted in the basement, supposedly their daughter. Her cries can be heard throughout the mansion, which is definitely unsettling. The last thing I'll mention about this one is the piano. It's a lovely old thing and still sounds pretty good. However, no matter how good a piano sounds, nobody wants to hear it playing when the room is totally empty. This keyboard is known to be used in some phantom performances, spooking even the most devout music fans out there. I wonder if the ghost takes requests. Coming at number 3, we've got the Lizzie Borden house, a classic tale of axe murders and acquittals. This is a story that has remained famous for years and even now gets a fair deal of attention. Lizzie Borden was accused of murdering her parents with an axe way back in the late 19th century. Plenty was said and in-depth investigations were performed, but Lizzie got off scot-free. Well, actually, her neighbors never seemed to believe that she was innocent, but Lizzie faced no legal repercussions for this event. However, the house in which it happened is said to house both the spirits of Lizzie and her victims. After dying at the age of 66, Lizzie apparently returned home. People who visit the house have told stories about seeing the ghosts of her headless victims wandering about the house, along with a panicked maid who discovered the bodies. Lizzie's around too, although she makes herself known with a laugh. It's said that she laughed while killing her parents and laughed when she got away with it, so it makes sense that that she'd still be chuckling in the afterlife. Do you think all the ghosts get along at this point? Or is it an eternity of enmity? I suppose you'll have to visit to find out. Coming in number 2, we've got the Sallie House. To preface this, I want to let you know that the Sallie House is bookable. You can pay something like $150 to spend a night in one of the most haunted houses in America. Pretty good deal, right? Sure, you can't cook and the basement's off limits and nobody's allowed to sleep in the beds, but come on, where else can you get an opportunity like this? The Sallie House got its haunted start thanks to a botched appendectomy. At the time, a doctor lived there and ran his practice out of the house. One day, a woman came in with a very ill child. The doctor deduced that the kid needed their appendix removed before it burst. However, it was already set to blow and there was no time to waste. So they attempted to sedate the girl but couldn't wait any longer for the effects to kick in. They began the surgery before the kid was properly sedated and she could feel everything. Her screams echoed throughout the house but nothing could be done. In the end, the surgery was a failure and the doctor was crestfallen. His patient, unable to really understand what was going on, had passed away under the night, believing the doctor to be torturing her. Since then, her angry spirit has haunted the home, tossing objects around, whispering and scratching in the night, and shoving male guests whenever they arrive. And finally, at number 1, we've got the White House. There are so many reasons to avoid the White House wholesale. By taking up residence there, you're just asking for trouble. But beyond the 24-hour news cycle and the ever-present online scrutiny, there are plenty more classical paranormal reasons to leave the White House well alone. Throughout American history, different presidents who have lived in the White House have reported strange happenings. Sometimes there might be a knock at one's bedroom door with no one on the other side. Others claim to have seen previous politicians and aides floating down the halls at night. Abraham Lincoln was regularly visited by his late son, and after he was assassinated, he seemed to return to the White House in similar fashion. With all of the important figures that have visited this location over the years and all of the high-stakes events connected with the structure, there's no doubt that the White House is haunted in one way or another. So try to avoid accepting any dinner invites unless you want to be haunted or sniffed. Most homes should be okay to enter most of the time, but if you suspect a haunt or a demon or an otherworldly presence, maybe stay home. Unless you live in a haunted house yourself, then I don't know what to tell you. So, what'd you think of the list? Do you agree with my picks? Are there any haunted houses you'd refuse to enter? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more fractional ones from the top 5 haunted asylums you should never visit. John Stiles says, plot twist, asylum's manager is the real ghost showing humans their premises. That sounds like something straight out of an M. Night Shyamalan movie. John Ramasco says, I live in Buffalo, NY, about 45 minutes away from Rolling Hills. I've done a few ghost hunts here and there and can confirm that the place is as terrifying as it looks. Get any souvenirs? Devin Stratton says, since we're looking at haunted asylums, I might check them out myself, and I better bring my ghost busting gear and get some ghosts. Bam, you drive an Ecto 1 too? DMB Lon says, Keegan, when will you do a Chills crossover? When he reaches out to me and not a second earlier. And Nax2099 says, scariest place I've ever been, Bartonville Asylum in Illinois. I swear to God, my friends were chased by shadows and floating lights. New flashlights with fresh batteries died suddenly. It was frightening, but awesome. Sounds like a blast. Did you get anything on camera? And that's all the time we have for today. I am going to hold on to some ice cubes with my hands full of salt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.